All right, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. It's our 69th episode. We're going to do Grendel, Volume 2, Number 20. The incubation years begin at this point. Eli, incredibly, we're at the halfway point to the Kamiko ongoing series.
It's insane. We are really making a ton of progress here. This chapter is called The Devil is Paranoiac. Paranoiac.
Okay.
Matt knows some words.
The devil is Wiggins.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're continuing along with Wiggins here. We got like a little bit older Wiggins. We have a seasoned Wiggins, and we're going to get into all that. But first, Ben, what did you do this week?
It's been a full week. We're preparing for everybody to come into the city for my daughter's baby naming.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday. So all the people are coming.
You gonna stick with the name that you've been using the whole time, or are you gonna switch it up?
It's a Hebrew naming ceremony.
Gotcha.
Thankfully, my daughter's name is a Hebrew name. So
oh, it is.
There's no like surprise.
Ahmed?
This is what it's gonna be. Yeah,
Ahmed
my
Ben
daughter.
Ben.
Yeah.
How is it pronounced in Hebrew? Emet.
Emet.
Oh,
it's
Torah
the
Emes.
activating word of the golem.
That's right.
Anyway, that's not really exciting for comic book.
Sure it is.
Sure it is. I drew my spread for. Oh, I changed the name of Sopranos Grand Design to Sopranos. No way. The Sopranos Fodder for Cartoonists Season 1.
Interesting.
And I did my spread of episode 8, The Legend of Tennessee Multisante. I really enjoyed when I do like lots of panels, I just end up focusing on like text placement and as much design as I can muster.
Yeah, I liked how you used like a little collage. You put.
Oh, I did some collaging. Yeah,
like from that magazine and stuff.
Yeah, I just stole drawing, Mark Drucker drawings of time.
Yeah, you didn't want to have to draw them.
As seen here, I just thought it'd be cute. I had what's his name? Dominic Chiance being played both by Frank Miller and by Ed Piskor in various panels.
I saw that, yeah.
And with these projects, it's a great low risk opportunity to try new things. So I have the Batman Year Wa pages next, and I think I'm gonna go really heavy on the collage with that. I was doing like weird photo manipulations where I had Poppin' Fresh, the Pillsbury Doughboy. And he's always smiling because that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I flipped his smile into a frown, and then I cloned the area around it so it convincingly looked like he was crying out in pain.
Interesting.
I did that. I started toning Arcane. I just sent you the 4th page of Arcane tones, as seen here.
Yes.
And
issue 2 is very close. I'll probably put the finishing touches on everything this weekend, and we could even go to print on Monday.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah.
The 3rd issue wraps up the first arc, Recollections. It's about Hogan figuring out his crazy memory powers thanks to the Oculus. It's wild shit. Lots of occult magic in there that you will ask yourself, did Steele make this up, or is he a snake god worshipping magician?
Ooh, what's the answer? I mean,
you have to buy the comic book to find out. I can't fucking tell you.
Fine.
I can't tell you. That was it. That was I started putting together my art book.
It's gonna be great.
It's hopefully it'll be less than 200 pages.
Wow,
it's gonna be
make
called,
it big, dude. You've done a lot.
It's called Sorry for the Confusion. It was titled by my father.
That's great.
How's your week, Eli?
Oh, it's been great. After we, sold out, ran out of our print run for the Grendel zine, which was amazing. I sent out the last couple, and I kind of had to tell some people, dang, we're out. I even went so far as to print out like a bootleg one for someone. But then the more stuff I got, and then Diana posted about it, and then Matt reposted that. Yeah. So more and more people were reaching out to me, and I was just like, screw it, man. I'll just do another print. It's being great. It's great for the cast. The more I think about it, I'm like, are we being like shills? Are we taking the easy road or whatever? But I think that what this is really actually helping do is get the real fans' eyes on our cast. And so, maybe for some reason we weren't getting those eyes on the cast, but now that there's like a limited edition comic involved, or what the Panders called a one of a kind collector's item or something like that, that was great to hear from them. They enjoyed it. And so I'm just psyched to, like, I think another print will be fun. I changed a couple pages. There was one page that printed a little pixely, one of Matt's pinups, and so he sent me a bunch, actually a few that I didn't even use. So I swapped those out and made sure to add, like, cover by Ben,
Perkins.
Ben Perkins. I forgot to put that in the book. Sorry, Ben. His signature is on the front, but I wanted to make sure it's there. And I made the first page a little smaller and made the promo for the zine, or for the cast, a bit bigger to make sure they know.
Well, it's great to have all you Grendel heads on board and listening.
Yeah, man.
Please join the conversation any way you want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment in the comment section here. Hit us up, and we'll read out some of the comments. We get a lot of the stuff from iTunes. I read every single one of those reviews. We got 2 new reviews. God is in the details. This one's by JPA Apple Store. Hey, an Apple Store. Thanks, guys. 2 comics creators and dedicated readers provide a comprehensive overview of Matt Wagner's seminal series. And Geek Thulu said, "What a great idea for a podcast." Oh, I read that last week. I remember Geek Thulu now. Sean McNally, shout out. "I came to this podcast for Eli." Suck it, Ben. "But I stayed for Ben." Dang it. "I'm a fan of Matt Wagner's Sandman Mystery Theater and the Dr. Midnight mini, but these guys got me to finally read a Grendel comic after listening to the pod. So much to experience for the first time. Love the show and now love the book." Shout out, Sean. Thanks, Sean. He's a cool, very cool dude. Oh, check it. Tony McMills, T-Max, Velveeta Grendel Forever. "I've been a guest on the show, but honestly, without bias, it's a very engaging show. Grendel remains one of the great unexplored corners of the comic verse for many people. So I think Eli and Ben are doing a real service, walking folks through the rich tapestry of Matt Wagner's signature creation." I'm going to get you out of Zine, Tony. I think I sent you one, but hit me up if I didn't. I kind of think I did.
Triangle Tony.
Dude, everyone out there who's listening, check out his Etsy and go buy his book, Attaboy, ATTA boy. It is freaking amazing.
If you like triangles, you'll love Tony's work.
Yeah.
He's incredible. What a wizard.
And shout out to our dude, Michael Fitzgerald Troy.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's got his own web series as well, a YouTube show. He just today, he released a Batman Grendel episode. He is a good colorist, a good artist in his own right. And he sent, "Ben and Eli are talented comic creators that do this amazing podcast on one of my favorite comics of all time. Thanks so much for interviewing the Panda Bros. They are my artistic spirit animal." Hell yeah. What a great way to put it.
I get such a kick out of MFT.
He's great.
He has great taste in comics. And he did one this week, the Gene Colan, Bernie Moreau, Kamiko horror one shot that I started seeing ads for. And I was like, I don't think this book ever came out. And there he is. And he's like, "This book's amazing." So I get a kick out of not only MFT's wonderful taste, but his deadpan delivery. Like,
yes,
he's very funny. So keep
agreed.
doing what you do. He's a very funny guy.
And hey, MFT, this is an open invitation to come join us on the cast.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
be on the cast. That's right.
Man. So pick an ish and hit us up, and we'll do it, man. Anything else? Now I did actually hear from Bernie recently. Did I read Bernie's response?
Tell us about Bernie.
All right, so yeah, here's the email I got from Bernie, and I asked him if because like we missed interviewing him for the Brian Lee Sung stuff, so this is kind of like a little bit about that. So I wanted to update peeps. So I asked him like, what are his highlights about his memory working with Matt and Granoff? "It was a great time for me, my big break. I had sent Matt Wagner a fan letter along with some comics, and he got in touch and talked about the possibility of me doing a few issues of Grendel. Of course, I said yes, stars in my eyes, a cool gig. Thankfully, Mark Shaneblum, the publisher of Matrix Graphics series, who was publishing the Jam at the time, understood how important this opportunity was to me and excused me from my obligations to pursue Grendel. I got to visit Matt in Philadelphia, and it was one of my few sojourns into the US. Very enjoyable. Matt ended up moving to Montreal for a bit, courting his wife Barbara, sister of Diana Schutz. Because of his proximity, I got to hang out a lot, and because he loved comic art, we talked about it a lot. All that gave energy to the project, and I was pleased with the result in that perhaps the individual illustrations were not slick, but the overall narrative structure became something different because of the close collaboration. My favorite graphic things are the little notes everywhere and the red glow at the bottom of almost every page. Those things would not have been allowed to happen in regular mainstream comics, and I'll always be grateful for the experience. Cheers, Bernie. Awesome.
I was thinking a lot about his last point about the freedom that independent creator-owned stuff had in the 80s from an editorial point of view. And the issue that we're about to read right now is a great example of that, of how you can strategically, there's just more like encouragement, motivation to change up the assembly line. And we see that here with the way that Joe Matt sort of draws several, like almost a panel per page in this book, while Hannibal King and Tim Sale take over. This is a great issue. It introduces Tim Sale into the mix.
Exactly.
And he draws a ton of Grendel through the rest of the ongoing series.
A ton. And becomes the, like, you know, kind of like one of the visionaries of the look of Grendel kind of in the future. For
sure. I had to look up Hannibal King. It was a little confusing because he's also the name of like a Tomb of Dracula character from Marvel. So every time I see the artist Hannibal King, I get really confused because I know that's a character that Ryan Reynolds played in a movie one time. It looks like he is made, though he did journeyman stuff at Marvel and DC and here and elsewhere, it seems like Magic the Gathering has been his bread and butter for decades, it would seem.
Sure, it's not a bad gig.
It's very funny because there's a lot of places here where you can see Tim Sale really coming through strongly. And then so it you know, not knowing Hannibal King's work, you know, you sort of split the difference. You say, oh, well, that's where one ends and the other begins.
Well, Tim Sale's like black spotting and the shapes he uses to do that black spotting are so individual and so like him, that to like an eye that I feel like we have by knowing his work from Long Halloween and from all the other Grendel work, it's like we can tell, like we can see the saliness, we can see the salinity.
Right. And it's crazy because like this is only like, how old is this comic? 1988. This is like less than a decade before the Batman stuff that we grew up on.
Right.
And yet it's still 30, you know, it's anyway, more time has elapsed since that than the gap between. Anyway,
exactly.
We got the mysterious Ron Turner.
Yeah, well, let's get into that intro. Let's get into that intro and then let's into the book. We completely forgot.
You got the intro.
We can't miss what some reviewers call the banger of an intro. So
it's like the devil is my best friend. On the rose with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, we are back. Thank you again, Manus and Laserdisc, for that banger. For that bangy, as Manus would probably say. Bangeef.
We're at total precipice here for the ongoing series. Everything's going to change in more ways than one.
Right.
And the introduction is going to lay some of that stuff out for the first time.
Yeah. So we got an intro from Matt here. He kind of lays out like what's coming and then who the creative teams are. I'd like to just kind of read a little bit of this, just for those at home who are reading from the omnibus and might not have the Kamiko. Well, here we are at issue number 20 and entering the 5th phase in the development of Grendel. 5th phase. So that's Hunter, Christine, Brian,
The novels.
and then now, okay, the incubation years. Got it.
Yeah. And I think that your confusion is just a testament to just how much things change. You know, a pattern is set and then it's completely interrupted and then it changes again.
Yeah, exactly. I almost was like, is it more or is it, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
As there was no introduction to the 4-issue run that I recently completed myself, I'll take care of that now by saying that what may have seemed at the outset like a bit of a backslide. See, at that point, it was like looked at as on a backslide, but to us, it's like, oh, sweet, you know, more Hunter stuff.
More
but,
Hunter, and then setting this issue up.
Right. And elucidating on some of those points from Devil by the D that we like really were thinking about. A little bit of a backslide to the past incarnations was indeed developmental to the Grendel character and to myself. Those 4 issues were an exercise in storytelling for myself. It having been some time since I had published any of my own visual creations. Even so, I couldn't let the Grendel character ignore its chronological progression, and so I set up situations that would take off in the next 4 issues, 20 to 23. These 4 will cover a time period of over 400 years and will trace the image of Grendel for what it will come to mean to the world at large, without Grendel ever making an active appearance. This all has a point, believe me. For the next storyline approaching, I need Grendel to have achieved a certain symbolic importance in the world, and it is this progression that will take us there. And the next one's a whopper. Hell yeah, dude.
That's a great setup for God and the Devil.
Absolutely. And it's so cool to set up like what we see and what, you know, looking back, we when we tell people about Grendel, we always, I'm always like, oh man, it spans like thousands of years and there's all these different things and it goes from being, you know, a person to a freaking drug and to this world thing. So it's like, you know, who's to say that in, you know, 500 to 1,000 years, Batman isn't like as revered as Jesus Christ? We don't know. I wouldn't put that past our society. I mean, but it just goes to show that you never know. And with the crazy way the world is going, who knows? Maybe the Church of Batman isn't too far off.
No, of course it's not. Probably exists already.
It probably exists already. Yeah.
Yeah. It's announced that Joe is just going to be coloring the whole series from now on, and that they're going to switch to full painted. Full painted covers. Really and cool. You know, I was telling you that when I got my God and the Devils, I looked at them under Kamiko for the first time, and they're stunning.
Yes.
Incredible. And I'd only ever read like my Dark Horse trade. And I suddenly was like, oh, I completely understand why people say that this is like the best run. It's fucking amazing. Like soup to nuts.
Hey, I guess I read it in a trade too. I guess the Dark Horse trade. So I will be seeing, when we go through it, I'll be seeing the Kamiko colors for the first time too.
The mysterious Ron Turner provides the Sandman-esque cover.
Very cool, man.
Of Wiggins. They just get crazier and crazier for the next few issues.
He's the co-creator and artist of Nightlife, published by Strawberry Jam.
Isn't Ron Turner like the last gasp publisher?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it's a different Ron Turner. It's a very generic name, so I do not know. But I wonder if he also did the Silverback covers.
Oh man, they were great. When did they come out? Around this time?
I had the same question. I don't think they've come out yet. I'm not sure.
Is he the lead singer of the Ron Turner Overdrive?
He must be.
Yeah, he's got to be. And then we get the introduction, like we said, we get Tim Sale and also Bernie Moreau and Joe Matt are coming in to do some coloring. And
yes, Joe Matt. So Wiggins has a prosthetic lie detecting eye. Like he looks like a Mark Silvestri Cyberforce character.
Or Kano or something.
Or Kano. He looks like Kano.
Street Fighter.
And so all the stuff that's from the POV of the eye is drawn by Joe Matt.
Right.
And it took me, and he's credited as Le Eyes and this little red glow underneath it. And I did not understand that until a few pages in. And I said, "Oh, this is fantastic."
I think he talked about it when we interviewed him, and
Mhm.
I spotlighted a panel because he said he drew himself in this issue.
Yeah,
And I
it's-
remember back then it'll be like, "Oh, that's so far away. That's way forward in the thing." But here we are.
Yeah, there's a few super peep show esque like Joe Matt touches
Like
where it's like that's
grotesque,
exactly
yeah.
how he does that in Peep Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, very grotesque. But there's just we'll get to him. Anyway, let's jump into this ish. Wiggins
Yeah.
is writing his books. He's a rich man.
If he was a rich man, Wiggin. Yeah, so I kind of thought he was in this panel, kind of like on the ground or being something, but he's like in his couch, he's like smoking his pipe, and there's a thump in his head. I can't help but, damn it always comes back to Star Trek with me, but there's a character in Star Trek Lower Decks who's got this kind of like metal eye thing, and he kept having these error messages pop up, like you get those windows pop up so much so that he couldn't see anymore.
Couldn't see anything.
This is shit, man. It's reminding me right of that. Anyway, so yeah, he's having these like what I want to say is that I know that it's the spirit of aggression, that the aggression, the Grendel devil, that this ethereal force is in there that moved from Brian to him and is now infesting in his eye.
Well, he
or
gave
whatever.
himself a post COP retirement second act by becoming a novelist and becoming, as sought after as Hunter was for the purposes of this story, basically.
For real. Yeah, for real.
Maybe maybe
Christine.
not as great a writer, but yeah, as Christine, like the same
Right.
level of literary fame as Christine did.
Though he's kind of like a pulp author, kind of like writing, a slew of these Grendel stories, Grendel tales, if you will.
Yeah, just shit Argent told him.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in his house at night, he's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, thump. There's an awful sound. The telltale heart of Grendel, the aggression, the heart of aggression thumping within, the walls of his house, his brain, his thoughts. It's continual.
Wiggins' thoughts are in these like turquoise narrative captions, very large lettering, but what they typically do is they'll give you the eloquent broad strokes of the page as a unit, and then the device that Matt uses here is that all the dialogue is either terse, like it's all like one word, and it works in rhythm, or there's pictoglyphs, which I don't know if Bob Panaha did them or
Good
they're
question.
done directly onto the page by Hannibal King and Tim Sale. I think it's probably the latter. Yeah.
It's interesting too because is it second person that these are in, like referring to himself as he, like not calling himself Wiggins, but
he calls himself Albert.
But then he's like, and he, since you started to write these stories, no, then later on it's like he muscles down. We'll get to it as we can, but
I thought it was him. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe it is third person, but then the thumping is of this Grendel. Since you started to write those stories, next page about Grendel.
Yeah, it's the end of the story, so we can't get too into it.
Right. The thump. Oh, I see. So this is, you think this is the end, and then it flashes.
It's the end.
It is the end. Okay, because the thump comes back. Okay, gotcha. So it's not a telltale heart situation where it's a thumping in his brain. You
know. Well, it could be
a little.
All right.
So next page, here he is. He's
at his own book signing.
Right. We're seeing him as as the writer, playing the role, and just plagued by it all. And they're like, here, sign, please, could, you, would, sir, beg, please, grovel, giggle. And then here's where we see the first eye. And this is a great layout, these of panels 3, 4, and 5, as the skinny panel is his eyes. And then like on the regular side, you see the normal people. And on the red side, you see the disgusting Joe Matt people. And that kind of like sets up this ongoing motif.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've talked a little bit about how like my least favorite like comic booky storytelling trope is where you split the face into two
Yeah,
panels.
yeah,
So Magneto is on one side and Cyclops is on the other.
yeah.
And incredibly, they have the exact same bone structure, and it's
Yeah.
just the same
Their
face.
eyes
It's
and
like,
nose get yeah.
oh Jesus Christ! This is like the opposite of that, and it works so well. I love it.
It really does. I want to make these buttons, dude. These are awesome. That is so freaking cool. The big teeth, like what is that? What was that Evil Ernie's button that
You're
had
talking about
its
Smiley, the psychotic button.
yeah, yes, that's what it looks
One
like.
time, the last time I was at New York Comic Con, I got in Brian Polito's way, and I was, with my head in the clouds, and he was trying to get somewhere, and I just like kind of stopped because I sensed that someone needed to move, and he stopped too, and he gave me the "What are you doing?" hands, which is not quite the hands of
Oh yeah.
of 20 years ago, but it was something.
Yeah.
It
It's
really
not it's
was
not
something.
a gangster movie about dealing comics called Polito's Way.
Polito's way.
I
I'll
got
be better-
jokes, man. They'll
It is.
keep coming.
Anyway, this I did not realize that this was Joe Matt until probably 3 pages in.
Right. It's really cool.
It's pretty. It's a great dichotomy. It's really. I would love to ask them what the origin of coming up with that strategy was like, and how it all worked. They probably left one panel blank. They sent it to Joe to color, and he drew it and
Yeah, I mean, I
did it all on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, I recently talked to Joe because he messaged me. He got the zine, loved it, and thanked us for it. And I was like, we got to have you on again, so maybe we can get Joe and maybe Matt on again.
Series colorist Joe Matt.
Series colors, yes. And so on the next page, here he is. He's continuing to sign here, and this, the guy who's running the store, he's greasy. He wants people to know he knows famous people, so he's hanging out. He's chumming it up, and then. This is when we really start seeing how the vision of everyone is distorted.
Yeah,
and
they all want a piece of him.
Yeah, and it's kind of like he's got one regular eye and one red eye. So he's seeing both at the same time. His vision is so distorted. That's why he's having this that's weird. Is it?
Well, what's even weirder is the panel reading order and balloon reading order on the first 3 panels.
Yes.
I had to when I figured it out, I said, "Oh, that's why you're not supposed to stack panels on the left-hand side."
Yeah. Oh, because you go from you to norm, then to norm again.
I was just so confused. Yeah. I mean, I figured it out. Anyway, great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's such a like, and I know I always say like frenetic or there's so much kind of confusion again, because that's what our main character is experiencing. He's experiencing this whirlwind of shit. His senses are labeled, misassigned. So
yeah, I guess so. I was really, and I'm usually not one to complain about this kind of stuff, but it took me a minute to figure this one out.
Hey, maybe that's what they wanted.
I'm dumb, whatever. Anyway, so
I like this little Smiley. Like he escapes into the bathroom and takes a little drink, and then as he's wiping the whiskey from his lips, he has this fun little like smiley face.
His Bacchus smile.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. All right, and then on the next page, he's kind of like, I'm out of here. Like the guy asked him to dinner. He's like, nah, dude, I'm getting the hell out of here. His agent got him a nice little limo there, a nice flying car limo with a real asshole of a driver.
The obligatory Eskimo driver. Again with the Eskimos. This is the 5th reference to the Eskimos running cabs. There was an immigration embargo.
Yeah, something like that.
So in my, I read these stories and I'm always like trying to spin out little like pitches, and it's just like, oh, what's the like the Grendels and the Eskimos, and like it's this great like racial analogy, and it's wonderful. Yeah, the guy's gross. Yeah.
There's an open bar, so he fills himself a drink, and on the next page he continues, and then the driver begins to talk, and it's just the worst shit you can imagine. He thinks he's speaking to like guy talk, locker room talk or whatever. It's just bullshit. And Wiggins like sees him and he's just again like absolutely hideous, disgusting, and he's just like and he's just like, he spoke of things lewd and coarse, and you thought him such a vulgar bastard. See, there's one of the ways where he was like referring to himself as you. That's second person, right?
If you say so.
Hey, I'm
If
asking
if
you.
Eli says so.
Hey, well, I'm thinking it's second person. Hit us up in the
Yeah,
comments if I'm
at
wrong.
this point, Wiggins is suspecting that there's something wrong with his eye.
Right. Yeah, and maybe even it almost looks like he's, doing that like that
Mm-hmm.
Kramer
Oh yeah,
got
there you
water
go.
in his ear type of thing.
There you go. So
So on the
we're-
next page, yeah, we see this beautiful home. He's got a great house.
it's quite the home. Yeah, the whole page is dedicated to his wife of 8 months.
Yes. Who
And,
seems like terrible.
she just wants the
he
money.
Yeah. The money.
Yeah, she
And
just wants
so
the money.
yeah, and he sees her again as like this wretched creature now that whose skin is inky and disgusting, and her thought bubbles are just money with wings, and Dinah is her name.
No, it's that's not her thought bubble. That's an empty caviar.
Oh right, yeah.
And it's
her taste for
bye-bye.
caviar.
The money is flown. It's
That's
the angel ghost of money spent on expensive caviar.
Nice, good pull, good catch there. Sometimes you felt that's all Dinah liked, and yelling. She just likes her caviar in the pool. Bitch, 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 nag, nag, nag. That's what he hears and sees. Protest, protest. On the next page, he just comes over and he's like, please. And all she wants is furs, cars, Tim Sale original art. Bye, impotent.
Well,
wimp.
that's the TV. And so my thought was
that's true. Yeah.
I kind of wish that Bob P had given the TV its own like electronic balloon.
Oh, right. A little.
That would have sold that a little bit better. But Dinah does have that like totally icy, impotent wimp. There's
not
so
Diana, Dinah, I think. Right?
Dinah, excuse me.
I was like, there's editing going.
There's so much like acting that's done in the balloons and the balloon tails and the variety of, sometimes there's squiggly lines, sometimes they're more traditional. There's all kinds of stuff going on with the lettering.
Yeah. Really cool. And then, I mean, as the more she talks and the more disgusted that I guess he becomes with her as well, the more vicious kind of look she takes on. She's got a huge mouth, spiky teeth, a long snake tongue, the long fingernails, and it's just screeching, hissing, and he's just like, enough, I'm gone.
Be gone.
On the next page, even her toes seemed corpulent, and your house reeked of her cat-like spore.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to make of that text, but that's just
spore. Yeah, is that, I don't know. Is that like how a mushroom like spreads its spores all over as if like
she spread her vibe all over the house.
Her viral spores. And so he's just like, he's done with it. He goes up again to drown his sorrows in beautiful brown booze.
Yeah, the little thought acting is very funny.
Love it. Yeah. Like the first one is like licking its lips, and then the second one is like, ah. And then one of these amazing floating phones like we saw in the spar run bleeps up.
It bleeps on over.
Yep.
Yeah, it's who is his agent?
It's his agent, yeah. What's his name?
Walter.
Yeah, Walter.
Yeah, the flow of the single word balloons. All right, shut up. Jesus Christ, women grumble, bitch, great, bitch. Hello?
Yeah.
The terseness of like this device, I talked about it a few weeks ago. I love it. It lets your imagination, like it works because the layout is good, the acting is so good on the characters, and so if you can get a sense of what they're saying in that little beat balloon, it's really easy for your brain to just kind of spin out and tell its own story. And that's the thing that I love the most about this whole comic.
Right.
The whole series.
And again, it just goes to show like how great of a storyteller Matt is. Because if we think about these comics that like say Matt grew up on or that were coming out there in the 60s and 70s, so word heavy, these Stan Lee written things, these things where a hero had to describe my hands getting so heavy, I must try, and like all that shit, like in the Stan Lee style of writing or whatever. It's like you don't need any of that if your graphic storytelling is strong enough.
You said something this week when we were making comics about trusting the reader.
Hmm.
Like you can, I think we were removing sound effects or something.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
And you were like, just trust the reader. Like the picture's doing what it needs to do. The atmosphere is already there. You don't need this.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Thanks, dude.
You're welcome. All right, great.
so
So
yeah,
he's got a movie deal. This is so topical.
Right. I know. I was like, hey, this is interesting though, too. He talks about how, because every time he meets with his agent, he reeks of smoked meats and barbecue. And now you begin to equate your career with a barbecue pit. That's just like, that's funny. That's funny to me.
Like being like turned over the coals.
Or yeah, just like anytime you smell barbecue, you're just like, you get that sense of like, oh God, the business, or here comes like the agent again,
Yeah. So
anyway,
they get off the phone, and
I love these cups. Did you see his like?
I love the
whiskey?
cup. Yeah,
so great,
yeah.
just floating there.
And Joe does a great job on the liquid and the ice, and
yeah,
looks really great. Now, what did you think? She's dreaming of money. Money, money. It's spinning. I love the curly cue. What is that, a self-portrait, or is that the world is rotten and it continues to spin? I was not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I do love her word balloon too. The twirls, and his is interesting too. Any type of change on the word balloon, I'm for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I guess it's the world. Yeah.
The world sucks.
Just keeps on turning. Wheels in the sky keep on burning.
I was really blown away by this gold Rocketeer ad.
Awesome.
We complain a lot about Kamiko's 9,000 colors being cut with K, but this gold looks really good.
It's a cool ad. You just don't use these solid color backgrounds anymore. Nobody does it. And when you do it, it looks it's so vintage looking.
It's funny because when you put this photo next to this elementals drawing with the with the non, with the regular color, it's the ad's really good. First of all, the Bill Willingham ad is really good. It's set up like a teenage Tiger Beat type shit.
Yeah.
But the comparison of the colors, I feel bad for elementals.
I know, it's insane. Well, Dave Stevens is such a amazing artist. Do you have this book?
The Rocketeer book?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It's good. He's back. All right, so we continue. He's back in a car. I like this too. This is kind of like this feeling you sometimes get with like an Uber or something. He's like, the cabbie didn't turn around once.
Right.
I tipped him well. It's like, all right. And he's like, how could I get up these stairs without looking anyone in the face? And he does it somehow.
He comes in with a kind of a air of entitlement, sort of pushing the secretary aside. And he looks at Walter, and he sees him as this gross pig.
Who he looks like is he's one of the villains from Captain Planet.
Yeah, the yellow guy.
The yellow guy with the pig nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looting and polluting, or what were their names? It was always like Lootin' Pollutin' or something like that. Or anyway, yeah. So now they're kind of talking about Dinah. They're talking about the movie. It's big. It's going to be big money, and he's like, blah. And again, he gets more disgusting, grosser and grosser and grosser.
I love Wiggins' pictoglyph. The Grendel money has turned me into a clown.
Yeah,
it's so fucking great.
Oh wait, that's on the next page, or
no? That's you
see with a red nose there. It's like the
red
Grendel
nose
symbol. Yeah, that's genius.
Yeah, really
stuff.
Cool. So they got a lot of integrity. It's gonna be very hot. It'll be great.
And he's just like, it's all just getting worse and worse for Wiggins. We turn the page, and then he's like, he got out of there, and he goes to the bar, and like these pictoglyphs are again great money, Grendel like. And then also the bartender's like, it's like 2 p.m. It's like, why are you here?
He has his own style. I love the rectangles.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep.
Looks so cool. Yeah.
Floating drinks. And then again, he's just like, I got to call my doctor. It's an emergency. Check up now, pick up. And
they still don't have cell phones. Jesus Christ.
But they have
Even we have
wireless
cell
wireless phone
phones.
booths.
And then this is he's tipping his hat to a cop on the beat.
Mm-hmm. Soon your eye would be adjusted and the world wouldn't stare anymore. And he just comes in, he's like, get me in there. Next
Oh
page
yeah,
is
the
like,
nurse. Oh, because he doesn't want to look at anybody.
right, to see
Nurse
how
sounded pretty, but
right.
I knew that if I looked at her, I would never see beauty.
And I don't think he's tipping his hat really to the cop. He sees
He's
the
hiding,
cop, but
he's
again,
hiding his face.
right. He just doesn't, like you said, he doesn't want to see anyone.
Oh,
because
he's
that's
not,
when the disgust comes.
In my first reading, he says, "I used to have your job."
Oh, he's like, I see you.
No,
and maybe,
but,
I mean,
no, he talks later on about being surveilled.
right, yeah.
So
you think he's still in New York then too? I mean, the cityscapes and stuff, the tall buildings. He must have stayed in New York. Yeah. So he's in there. He sits down, and this is his Dr. Edgar, who installed his eye many, many years ago.
I want to see the story about how Wiggins lost his eye. It's just like how Samuel Jackson lost his eye, right? The cat scratched it out.
So you think he lost it, or do you think he augmented himself?
If I need a story, it has to be that he lost it doing some COP shit.
Yeah.
For the taking down the Palumbo crime family or some shit.
Maybe it was his first encounter with Argent or something.
Right. Argent accidentally took his eye out. That was my story that I wove. That it was accidentally Argent did it, and
then he kept him around because he kind of
felt bad. Him around because he listened to his stories.
Right. He did it as a kid. He like ripped his eye out as a kid accidentally, like in the heat of the battle. And then Argent took him under his wing and helped him up through the police academy, and then he became his personal attaché, and that's why they were so close. Yeah, and that's why he knows so many Grendel stories, is because he knew Argent since childhood.
I really love this panel of them like lasering into the eye.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then we see like this Ziploc? No, X-ray. Excuse me. And then he's just like, there's no, way off. Except it had with one of those last letters. Maybe you thought some exercise would help. I don't know, Wiggins. Next page. And he's just like, the verdict is like, you're fine. There's no problem. And that's when he looks up and he sees like the disgusting, vile image that
this is my pet peeve, except it works here perfectly.
Well, but I think again, this is not
two different characters. It's the same guy.
Right, exactly. And this is how Wiggins is seeing. Which answers my question previously, which is like, does he see a little of both? Like, what's going on? And he's like, liar. And because everything is getting twisted in his head, he's like, you're not even telling me the truth. You're just telling me bullshit to get me back in here. You're the doctor who is going to string me along to get me back in and do more and more and more.
Everyone wants my money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Dave Sims said, you can get what you want and still not be very happy.
Interesting. No one else had seen this obscenity. He belabors as he's in his next taxi home, as all he can think about is Grendel now.
Well, he's got to go to this bar to meet Walter with the Hollywood guy. He hopes that at least maybe the lighting in the bar will be red so that it will blend. I'll be able to fool myself or whatever it is. There's a detail here that the guy has cocaine saliva paste.
Right.
That's disgusting. What a visceral, horrible detail. Because it's your boogers coming out your mouth.
Oh, it's like this white crust that you get from like a dry mouth. I remember like my math teacher in ninth grade used to always get it in his mouth, and it's just so gross. Like, I don't necessarily think he was on cocaine, but no, he would get these like white. It was just like, dude, drink some fucking water. Mr. Spatero. I have not said that name in so very long. Anyway, he gets there. This dude is disgusting. On the next page, we get the Kamiko blimp. And we get some submission rules if you want to submit to Kamiko. Their mailbag is bursting at the seams that they're getting so many submissions that just, here's some guidelines because we got too many already. And just keep it at 5 pages. If you can't hook can't hook an editor in 5 pages, don't even send it.
This reminds me, this spread, Geraldine Peck's blimp spread,
Yeah.
reminds me that it was a big week in Shrek Watch. Shrek Watch.
Shrek Watch.
Bob Shrek reared his Facebook head for the first time in like 2 years to thank Matt, to wish Matt happy birthday. Happy birthday, Matt.
Happy
And
birthday.
also to
Happy 60th.
like one of Matt's posts about our podcast. Bob, if you're listening, or if you know Bob and you think he'd like to be on the podcast, or if you think Bob would be tickled to know that he has an open invitation anytime and the show would not be complete without him coming on, let him know. Gretch, we love you.
Hell yeah, we do. Be super exciting to chat with him. What was that one photo we saw with him? It said like LSD on his forehead. He was like in a band or something like that. That was great.
Singing metal in like corpse
God.
paint.
I want to know everything. Hell yeah. So then we turn the page, we're back in, and he's in this meeting, and it's disgusting. I mean, this guy is just like, girls, story, girls, visuals, emphasis, girls. I want
just
girls,
Hollywood
girls.
Like, platitudes and promises and bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Just-
I'm
and he-
sure
and-
I'm sure Matt's happy to be on the other end of this conversation.
Right.
after
I'm
all these
sure
years.
that the dealings with Netflix or with whoever it was were nothing like this at all. I wonder what Matt's like production company logo at the beginning of each episode is going to look like, because how it's always like Wind Dancer Productions in association with.
It will probably be, I guess it's going to be, thank you, Eli and Ben Pictures presents.
Absolutely. Yes.
It
Eli
would only
and
make
Ben,
sense.
my favorites.
Yeah, it would only make sense. All right. So anyway, this
That's
meeting
Ben's
is so
acerbic humor for you, Pander Brothers, as you can tell.
this meeting is so disgusting.
Yeah, and
He says, "Is it going to be integrity? Lots. It's going to be art." And this sends him off to go throw up in the
God,
corner.
oh yes, that's like too much for him. He just pukes. I think outside because it says post no bills.
There you go. He runs out.
And then he's
And
in
when
the
we go
street.
outside, the Joe Matt Funky Town takes over.
Yeah, it does. And I think this is the panel where he said he added himself in. He told us that in his interview.
It's
and I
in
think
panel
it's this
3.
panel.
It's in panel 3. It's the
Oh, you're
figure
right. You're right.
on
You're
the-
right. You're right.
Giving out the splain in hand.
Yeah. That's right. I
The
forgot.
Joe
Yeah.
Matt splain in hand. Anyway, everyone's disgusting. Ugh.
Right. And this is very reminiscent of those Brian Lee Sung panels where he was walking in, there was just the single words of the street and
Yeah.
that like disturbing. Yeah. And so he goes to another bar, jams cocktails, and it's like disgusting in there again. He just got jammed. while
Yeah.
It was in there,
He thinks he's being tailed by COP members.
Right.
He wonders if they surveil ex-members, which is funny that
Oh,
they're
right.
called members.
Ooh.
That's like Congress, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. So
All
he
right,
gets
so he's
he gets more
pissed.
booze, and then there's a few like Joe Matt isms in here. This woman at the bar is like very Joe Matt, and then in panel 3 there's like 2 fat guys shouting,
Yeah.
and that's like totally Peep Show the way he kind of does the black of the mouth with a squiggly brush, and it forms the top and bottom of the teeth.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great.
Yeah,
I would
it's
love
really-
to see some of
really
these
cool.
original pages and just get a little bit more, learn a little bit more about like what Hannibal King gave to Joe, how they were working together.
So Joe must have inked these, but like panel 4 is like coordinating that. Oh, it's
Right.
crazy.
Right. Like, Hannibal might have laid in some of the main stuff and then gave it to Joe, and then Hannibal had to lay in more or something.
The crazy thing
Oh,
is
but-
that if we were to do this, we would just send it through Google Drive
Right.
on our iPads. It's infinitely easier to do something like this.
Yeah. Well, I guess like since Joe inked it too, would Hannibal King kind of just put like silhouettes where he wanted people, and then Joe took the reins on like making them who they were? Or interesting.
Yeah, who knows?
Cool. So next page.
I'm
yeah.
sure the answer is the path of least resistance. Whatever was simplest is what they did,
Right. Yeah.
is my guess.
And at last you could think more clearly. Why could he think more clearly?
Because he's had enough drinks.
Yeah, I guess. And so now he's thinking it more. He's thinking about his life, his wife. He's got 4 drinks in front of him. And he's thinking about, what's that? That's a person with an arrow through their head. Steve Martin. He's thinking about Steve Martin. That's a joke.
I guess it's supposed to be him. And then there's one where he's eating money, or his very words are money.
Ooh,
he's so money and he doesn't even know it, baby. Or maybe that the money's being shoved down his throat, the promise of the money.
Right.
You can't remember the last time you felt alone, uncrowded. But that's the point, isn't it? It's always it's what you've always dreaded, you've always inhabited. You must be recreating him, Grendel.
And these
money equals Grendel.
Damn, these red balloons around him that are starting to like plague him. This is his adaptation of the spirit of aggression getting around him, the Jill Thompson little devil that I love so much. Like this is how he is manifesting. It was speaking to Brian in the Tom Waits voice, and here it's these like little orbs surrounding him, kind of like the red of his eye, many little red eyes kind of torturing him. On the next page it continues. Joe Matt, people are flicking him off and laughing at him. Everyone is
that's
out
like
to
the
get
most
him.
intense Joe Matt drawing in the book, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It has kind of the most like 3-dimensionality to it.
Yeah, that bottom teeth, bottom set of teeth can really do that. And then again, he's seeing those tails, or maybe he's just getting crazy. He's thinking crazy.
Yeah, it looks like he sees them.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what happens. They are tailing.
They are tailing him.
You know,
and that's when it says cops plus Grendel equals prison.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that. I didn't, or it's that if I am COP, but I become Grendel, everything's over. It's just like in the A1 story where he resisted becoming Grendel.
Right.
And it was the one thing, it was like that was his line. And now like the allure of money has helped him cross the line without even realizing it, I guess.
And maybe even a little bit of like, he got out, he quit, you know, and now he's like spilling the secrets. He's like letting out like cop secrets or something like that. And they're like, you can't quit like the mob, like you can't quit the mob or whatever. So it's like that kind of type of organization where it's like you can't quit, and now you're spilling secrets. So it's like,
well, it's very Blade Runner as he gets into the flying car, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. He's trying to get home. He thought he could escape to get home.
The atmosphere on the rain in these last 2 panels is really fucking great.
Yeah. The way they probably like smudged some of the coloring, maybe even just used the like a little finger to kind of smudge some of the ink lines that they were doing. So then we get home, we get inside, and he's like, please, like, please let Dinah be a little forgiving. And she's in there prattling, gabbing. She's talking on her phone or whatever, eating. And he's like, I can't do the movie. I can't do the movie. And he's like, it's like a rehash. It's like, and she's like, what? Can't? You gotta be crazy. Like, this is the money first, cars, money. Well,
he knows that if we do it, that Grendel will come back. He knows what will happen. You know, it's because no one reads books, but people all go to the movies.
Right. They all watch Netflix series and then are wishing they could have a debrief about it on the greatest podcast of all time. And so here, just kidding, y'all. Anyway, actually, am I? Anyway, so he's like, wait, and this is cool as these Grendel, the cloud of Grendel's influence on Wiggins is right there in every word that he's saying until he collapses in front of her.
Begs her for help.
Begs her for help. Please, please, please. And she pulls his ponytail, calls him a wimp, standing. That just, she's getting more frightening, more distorted, more Stedman-esque, almost like these disgusting, like, and
almost like Ralph Bakshi in a way.
Yeah. Like, yeah. But of course she wouldn't stop. She would not stop as he's reaching for her bread knife. We turn to the next page. She's like, stop, no, stop, please. And then she
he's saying stop. He's
rams
begging.
it.
He's
Right.
begging her to stop.
Like,
yeah.
stop doing that, and he just rams it right in her eye.
So this, I did not know this was coming.
Yeah.
I've never read this issue before. This is one of the most exciting moments reading comics I've ever had.
Yeah.
I gasped. And I feel like someone was saying that somewhere there's a total holy shit moment. And I think this might have been the one, like in some comment.
Yeah.
I think this might be it. I took half a minute just to like be in that moment and realize like this is why I love comics. Like my skin felt electric. Oh, it's great.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And on the next page, all eyes are really red, you see. And that's when we pick back up with the thumping. We see the COPs at the door of the cops. Police open. And he's like, shit. And of course, that's when the thump arrived. So tell me, Albert, what is it? Could your heart beat so loud? Next page, we see him collapse on the couch in a smoke cloud that takes the form of these Grendel eyes. Or is it Grendel's step as he skips across what's left of your life?
No, it's the window. It's the water running down the window from outside.
But it comes like forward, kind of.
Look at the one on next to her shoe. So,
Yeah.
do you think he's having a heart attack? And
I don't
he's
know.
dead?
I don't know.
I don't want him to have a heart attack. What I want to happen is I want the police to show up, and he'll say, "I'm an ex-member," and they'll say, "Oh, we didn't know that," and then they sweep it under the rug, and then we can have a story where he's on set, under duress, making the Devil's Legacy movie. Because I did not want him. I did not want him to be dead because I really, really needed like a comic where they're making a movie with him.
I mean, he does say, "Forgive me for leaving such a mess." So
He's dead.
he's dead.
We have a quote from Henry the Fourth. Shit, what is this? I don't know. I don't know anything about Shakespeare. Henry the Fourth, Act 5, Scene 2. I am as hot as molten lead and as heavy too. God, keep lead out of me. I need no more weight than mine own bowels. Whew.
Oof.
Cool.
And
Anyway,
then
that's the ad for the cover for 21.
That's right.
Which we'll do next week.
Another amazing thing. And it's funny here as we get to the Grendel's Lair, the first letters column we've had in a couple issues. Diana speaks as if, not as if, she speaks that they've had many letters. The letters didn't stop. But one dude, Malcolm Bourne from London, England, wrote and wrote and wrote for every single issue and presented here for all to read all of his letters. Pretty amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. That's so sick. I mean, think about this. You write all these letters, and then one day you buy Grendel, and the entire letters column is just you.
That's pretty cool.
They almost never have the letters column too that goes to like the back cover, the inside back cover. But
did you read these letters?
I didn't read them all, but it's pretty interesting. He guesses well, and he's got good thoughts on all of it. So
he's got some good Grendel ideas.
Yeah, okay. Shout out Malcolm Bourne.
You couldn't find him on Facebook though.
No, I looked, and I even did the thing of like going to like Matt's friends and typing in, Malcolm.
Stalking everybody.
Tried to stalk as hard as I could.
That's how we do this show.
Tried to stalk in the cutest little celery farm you ever saw.
I love this issue. I thought it was
amazing. You couldn't stop talking about it, man. You were psyched.
Well, I read 21 a few weeks ago for the first time.
Yeah.
And I felt just as excited. I just feel like the book is changing, like the identity of the book is changing before our eyes for like the biggest shift that it goes through in 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah. And the book changes more than most books, like ever, of all, like most books don't change this much in 40 issues. They don't span thousands
Yeah,
of years.
not
you know,
in
like,
40 issues.
yeah,
Of course.
maybe 200 or something,
I
but
mean,
like,
it does. I think that, Love and Rockets and Cerebus are like the two, mostly Cerebus, is the book that like really is designed in some ways to change according to the whims of its author, but in other ways it's completely rigid in its format.
yeah,
And Grendel is like has the best of both worlds, where it can be a Pulp Fiction novel with illustrations, or it can be a 3-issue series, or it can be a 4-issue ongoing, or there can be 10-issue arcs within that, or 3-issue arcs,
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Or
It
an
can be
anthology,
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I love it.
Really cool.
Oh, awesome. Well, okay, that's bringing us to the end. Now I'm gonna go ahead and continue to extend the invitation to all the listeners to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Grendelcast. Take a photo of your review, of your follow, of your share, of all of it. Email me at eli@cosmiclionproductions.com. And then when the second print of the zine comes in, I will begin shipping them out. I'll tell you who's on my list so far. If you're listening, David Spray, Guy DT, Lindsay Falls, and Leon Connolly. You are on the list. You're going to get those first couple issues. One of them was going to get this bootleg version. So somebody hit me up if they want this bootleg version. It came out well. It's all in there, but it's just personalized by me. A one of a kind.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So sweet. So I guess until next week, Vivat Grendel, and keep on Grendelin.